Now, welcome back to Mr. Samwealth MTH Mathematics Classroom. So, without wasting your time, we are going to Unit 2 of MTH 103. Unit 2 of MTH 103, that is addition of vectors. Addition of vectors. Now, the sum of two vectors, vector quantity AB and vector quantity BC, is defined as the single or equivalent or resultant vector. Majorly, we use resultant vectors AC for them. Now, what do I mean? Mathematically, this is what I mean. Mathematically, or diagrammatically. Now, they said the vector quantity AB. Now, let's draw our vector quantity AB here. This is A, B. The arrow is facing this side. Let's label it vector A. Now, from here, it goes this way. Let's label it this one as BC. The arrow is going this way. That's BC. You get it right? The sum of these two vectors, that is the sum vector AB plus vector BC, must give us the beginning, that is the starting point of the first vector, to the end of the second vector. That's what I mean. So let's use a broken line for our result. Now, these are resultants. These are our resultants. Now, the resultant is vector quantity AC. Vector quantity AC. That is vector. You can now label that this one is B. Let's label this C. And I'll label that as vector A plus vector B equals to what? C. I believe you get it right. Yeah. So that's it. We call it AC. So the direction is AC. Coming from A to C. That is how we show the direction. Coming from A to C, going to C. That is it. Yeah. Yes. In this example now, example 1, if P equals to a force of 40 Newton acting in the direction due east, and Q equals to a force of 30 Newton acting in the direction due north, find the magnitude of the vector sum R of these two vectors. We have to find the magnitude of the vector sum R. Now, without wasting our time, the first thing to write is solution. After your solution, you try to explain it or illustrate it by diagram, using diagram. So they said if P equals to a force of 40 Newton acting in the direction due east. Direction due east, that means if this is our point, it's acting to this direction east, is on this side. This is due east. Are you getting it? This is our P, and it is 40 Newton. Then the Q is acting in the direction due north, east. Now this one is going to the north. This is the direction. Then that is our Q, and it is 30 Newton. So we are told to find our resultant value, that is joining the beginning of this vector P to the end of the vector Q. That is our value of R. So without wasting our time, you can just see using, because this is a right angle, this gives a right angle triangle. So you can say using Pythagoras theorem, you can just see R square equals to P square plus Q square, where our P is what? 40. That is 40 square plus 30 square, and that gives us what? 1600 plus 900, which gives us what? 2500. Then remember our R will now be the what? we have this is r square. Already this is r square equals to this. You can also take the square root of both sides so that the square can cancel the square root. Are you getting it? Then it should now be what? R equals to 50 Newton. That is the way to get our resultant R. From the previous knowledge that we gave us, we have been told that when we are given this kind of vector and we are told to find the sum of this, the sum of this vector P plus Q must give us this resultant. That is the starting point of the P plus the end plus the joining the line from the starting point to the end point. That is what we call chain, drawing it as a chain. You understand? That is, and our result is 50 Newton. Our result is 50 Newton. I believe you can see that. Yes, so now the sum of numbers of vector, the sum of the number of a vector a plus b, a plus c, plus a plus b, plus c, plus d, plus e, plus f, a lot of that, plus a lot. Now, the first thing you have to know is that you have to draw it as a chain, vector. Are you getting it? You have to draw it as a chain. That's what I mean. You have to draw the diagram as a chain. Now, when drawing as a chain, that means you take the A, B, you bring it down, A, B, then you draw your B, C, joining them together, then C, D, joining them together, then D, E, joining them together. Then we can now label it vector A, vector B, vector C, vector D. Now, to get the value of this now, it is a very simple thing. The first thing is that we have to know that this, our A plus B, vector A plus B will be equals to, remember, I told you the resultant of two vectors, adding two vectors together, will be joining the first starting point, from the starting point of the first one to the end of the second one ending, BC ending, right? Because AB is the same thing as A plus B is the same thing as vector AB plus vector BC. That's the same thing. They are the same. So now we pick it from here, join it together like this. Now that means our value will now be what? Remember, it is AC. Our value will now be AC. We will equal to vector AC. I believe you are getting it right. Will be equals to vector AC. Yes. Now, to the other one, if you are given that, you can now easily see our AC plus C. Now, we stop here. You can now see our vector AC plus vector C. We give us what? Remember, our vector C is the same thing as what? Vector CD. You can say that vector AC plus CD plus vector CD. Very easy. The starting point and the end point will be our answer, even if you don't want to use the diagram. From here you can see your answer. Your answer will be AD. But let's use the diagram. So that will be what? Vector AB plus vector BC plus vector CD. Now the value will be the starting point to the end point. You join it together. So it gives us what? AD. Automatically we have vector ADJ. I believe you can see it clearly. Yes, I believe you can see it clearly. Thank you. Now, the next one there, we have our vector A plus C plus, that means automatically our vector A plus B plus C will give us what? Our vector AD. Sharply. Now, the next one, we can have our vector AD plus D. Let's go to the next one. Let's just say AD plus D. That will be vector resultant, a vector quantity AD plus D will be equals to, this is the same thing as what? AD plus CD. AD plus, sorry, our D is what? D is plus DE plus vector DE. Automatically, even without using the chain figure, you can easily get it that the starting and the end, that is AE. That means our value will be what? AE. Now let's use our our diagram so that we'll get it right. Can you see it? You can see. Remember, our AD is the same thing as A plus B plus C plus now D, and that will now be equal to what? Vector A B plus A B C plus C D plus D E. Automatically we join the starting to the end, then they give us our next value, which is what? AE. That's how we got our vector AE. I believe that is very simple. If you can try to observe it well, it is very simple. We use similar thing we did here under resultant, similar thing we did under resultant. That's what we did. The similar thing we did under resultant, vector AB plus vector BC. Automatically we use the starting point, we join it with the what? End, and it gives us our value. That is AC. That's the same thing we use under here. To get it. All right. Thank you. Now we have to solve this figure to sum it together and find the sum of the vector. Now, very easy. The first thing is, if it is a open figure, this is a open figure. If it is a open figure, don't stress yourself. The starting point should be joined together with the end of the last point. Should be joined together with the end of the last point. That is your value. The sum of this vector now will result to P resultant PT, resultant vector PT. That's it. It will give us resultant vector PT. Now let's write. This is what I mean. Solution. That means we have vector Q PQ plus vector Q R plus vector RS. RS this, then plus vector ST. ST. Now the value will be what? The starting and the end. That means P T, resultant vector PT. That is what we'll get. The starting P and the last point T. That is our value. Simple as that. Nothing difficult. Now look at this. Imagine you are told to find the sum of this kind of vector. Vector AB to vector BC to vector CD to vector CD to vector DE and to vector EA. Automatically, by yourself, you should be able to tell the value of this without wasting time. Do you know the reason? Because this is a closed figure. 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 It is a closed figure. So when you have this type of question, don't stress yourself. The result will be 0. The result will be what? So the result is, therefore, the result is 0. Is 0. Now let's try. This is what I mean. Solution. That will be what? Solution. That will be vector AB plus vector BC plus vector CD BCCD DE plus vector DE plus vector EA. Automatically, it starts from A, it ends at A. Your result will be what? 0. The starting point is A, the ending point is A. It stops at the result is what? 0. Because it is a closed figure. So if it is a closed figure, our resultant is always 0. Our resultant is always 0. I believe you get that. Now, example 4. Find the vector sum of vector AB, vector BC, plus vector CD, plus vector DE, plus vector EF. Now, definitely we can solve this without diagram. I've told you, even as I was solving, I was showing you the value without diagram. If you don't want to stress yourself, maybe you are in objective class and you don't want to stress yourself, once you see this, you should have known that this is an open figure, because it starts from point A and it ends at point F, not from point A to A. Point A to A is a closed figure. A to another point is an open figure. So definitely the value of this, you just say solution. You can say vector AB plus vector BC plus vector CD plus that of DE plus that of EF give us what? A, the starting point, AF, vector AF. That's it. It's as simple as that. So nothing difficult, nothing difficult. Can we try more? Can we try more? Let's just try more so that we can end the class. Example 5. Let's try more. Let's find more. Find the sum. Find the vector sum of vector AK plus vector KL plus vector KL plus vector LF plus vector, let's say plus vector LP plus vector, let's say PQ. Now, same thing we have done in this. That's what we're going to do. Just write solution. You don't need to draw it as a chain figure, and you may also draw it as a chain figure to get your value. Chain figure means drawing it as AK, KL, LP, PQ. Then you now join your AQ together to get your value. Then you now join your AQ together to get your value. But you can move on straight without stressing yourself. Just a solution. Vector AK plus KL plus that of LP plus that of vector PQ results in what? The starting point A and the end point Q. That is the value of the vector. I believe you get that clearly. I believe you get that clearly. Yes, thank you. Now let's quickly try another example. Example 6. Maybe you're told to find the sum of the vector. Let's find the sum of AB minus CB minus plus CD minus ED minus ED. AB minus CB plus CD minus ED. So we have to understand from our previous class, first thing, just write solution without wasting your time. We are dealing with vector AB minus vector CD minus plus vector, this one is CB plus vector CD minus vector ED. If I'm right? Yes, I think I'm right. Minus vector ED. The first thing we need to understand is that in our previous class we were taught opposite vector. Now when you are given minus CB, you have to know that that is the opposite of BC. Now if this is line BC, or let me just use horizontal line. If this is line BC, is going through this direction. Line CB will be like this. Are you getting it? It will be like this. That is CB. It's coming from C going towards B. That was the meaning. Coming from C going towards B. Automatically, this is the negative part of vector BC. You get it, right? So we are going to change the negative to the positive. Let's go. It should now become vector AB plus. If you are changing this to plus, it will be what? It will be what? If you are changing it to plus, it will be what? From what I said here, this is vector BC, we all know. Now from here, now this is vector CB. Definitely our vector CB is the same thing as negative vector BC. So if you are now having negative vector CB, that means automatically it should become a positive of BC plus vector CD minus ED will become positive of DE plus DE. That's as simple as that. Nothing difficult. I believe you can see it clearly. Yes. From here now we can now try to look at the shape. Then we solve our value. A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. Then the value of vector AB plus BC plus CD plus DE will be the starting point to the end point. The starting point to the end point, that is what? Starting point to the end point, that will be A, E, vector A, E. As simple as that. Nothing difficult. As simple as that. Nothing difficult. Now let's quickly try this last example. And I give our practice question. Let's try this last example. Find the vector sum let me see, a vector AB plus vector BC minus that of DC, vector DC minus AD. Now solution. Remember we have opposite vector here, so you know how to treat it. Very simple thing. Write out your question. Vector AB plus vector BC minus vector DC minus vector AD. First thing, let's change the opposite vector to the positive one, the negative vector to the positive one. So it becomes vector AB plus vector BC minus DC become plus CD minus AD become plus DA. Do you get what I'm drawing? Fine. Let's write our value. Remember, now I told you that when the starting point is the same as the end point, it is a closed figure. It is a closed figure. You can say this is a closed figure. So definitely the value is what? 0, because it is a closed figure. It's a closed figure. That's it. The value is 0, so we don't need to stress ourselves on that, because it starts from A and end at A. It is a closed figure. Nothing else on that. That's the value. Yes. Now we have to try this practice question. We have to find the vector sum of base A, B, C, and D. But in your number 2, illustrate question D. This question using a diagram. Then explain what you notice. You can always drop your answer in the comment section. Thank you. You can only drop your answer on comment section, or you can also contact us for private class. Thank you. These are WhatsApp number. Mr. Samuels. Mr. Samuels. 08175422688. Thank you. See you in the next class.